Justin Haskins joins us now. He's been a dear friend of mine for a while. He's the editorial director of the Heartland Institute, editor-in-chief of StoppingSocialism.com. Justin is also the co-author of the #1 best-selling book, at least on Amazon in the last 24 hours, The Great Reset. Justin, you and I both thought we were fighting socialism for a long time. And that's not what we really are fighting. That's a ruse. Don't you believe that now?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think that was one of the most confusing parts of all of this. And frankly, it probably delayed the release of this book because we thought for about 3 or 4 months that that's what we were dealing with. It's not what we're dealing with. This is so much bigger than socialism. And really the biggest tip off of that is notice that Bernie Sanders and AOC are not involved in any of this. They're not involved in any of this. They have nothing to do with it. And that's because they don't believe the same things that these Davos people believe. It's a totally different system.
I think that, you want to talk about a real revolution. When people who do care about global warming, they do care about real equality. When they figure this scam out, if it's not too late, these guys are in real trouble. The Davos people are going to be the most despised people in the entire world because it's all a money game.
Oh, without a doubt. They're making massive, massive amounts of money. BlackRock alone, if you just look at BlackRock, which is heavily involved in all of this Great Reset stuff, the largest investment management firm in the world, they've added trillions, not billions, not hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars to their assets under management in just the past couple of years. Trillions of dollars. They're all getting super rich off of this. And you're right. When socialists realize that, especially the hardcore socialists, when they realize that, they're going to know that they've been played by this whole system and that all of this language about equality and climate change and saving the planet is all garbage. And it's just being rolled out so that these people can consolidate their power, consolidate their wealth, and become filthy rich as individuals in the process.
There's a book I'm reading right now, AI, I think it's AI in 2040, I think. And it talks about what I've been talking about since the 90s, the fourth industrial revolution, where we go into AI and it just starts taking jobs away. And it's going to start now. I mean, it already is, but we're going to lose trucking. We're going to lose a lot of these jobs. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse over the next 10 to 15 years. And a lot of people are going to be facing unemployment. Instead of actually talking about the issues and talking about the things that, for instance, those people in Silicon Valley, those people who control AI, are going to become uber wealthy. I mean, on a scale never before seen on Earth. And everyone else is going to be on a poverty handout scale. And this is one of the things that the reason why they're trying to consolidate all of this power, because they know if they don't control all the levers of power, it's going to fly apart. It's all going to fly apart because nobody will. I mean, we're talking about the redesigning of the meaning of life in the next few years.
That's right. Yeah, and they talk all the time about rewriting the social contract. We have to rewrite the social contract, that the existing social contract it's not working and too many people are being left behind. These are the richest, most powerful people in the world, constantly lamenting about how everyone else doesn't have as much wealth as they do. Why do you think that is? I mean, the idea that these people actually care about improving the world and actually care about alleviating poverty and actually care about fighting climate change while they're flying around the world in their private jets and buying homes on the beach that are supposedly going to be swallowed up by the oceans in the next couple of years is ludicrous. It's so obvious what's going on. It's the biggest Ponzi scheme in the history of human civilization. Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars are behind it. The government and central banks around the world are printing this money and handing it to the wealthiest few. They're circulating it amongst each other. They're consolidating power and property in the process. And by the time everyone realizes that this is going on, if we don't stop things right now, it's going to be too late. They're going to have too much wealth, too much power, too much property. And you know what I think? I think that might actually lead to a socialist revolution. Because you actually will
Yes.
have people, regular people who don't like socialism right now, saying we have to take their property away from them because they have way too much power and there's nothing we can do except take their wealth and power away from them.
Well, that is the scariest part, is it's combined with all kinds of monitoring plans. I mean, just the monitoring that is going to have to be required for global warming alone, or this, the mass surveillance for climate that Eric Lander was talking about. Can you go into that a bit?
Right. So Eric Lander is a science advisor to the president. It's a cabinet level position. In December 2021, so not that long ago, he gave a speech before a bunch of scientists where he said that in order for us to really control climate change, we have to make sure we know who is emitting CO2 emissions right down to the specific building. And we can't trust people to report it accurately themselves. And we can't trust countries even to report it accurately. So what we need to do is have this massive new satellite-based imaging and direct measurement system. His direct quote is, "We need satellite-based imaging and direct measurement and monitoring of greenhouse gas emissions around the world, including methane and CO2. We need to measure emissions in near real time, and at scale from entire regions to individual facilities to identify and manage carbon sources and sinks." So he's talking about a global mass surveillance system of every single building and industry and region in the entire world.
This is, the world will starve to death if all of this happens. They are changing the way, because of global warming, the way we farm. And it is not hyperbole to say from the farm to the table, from the seed to the table, they are going to change everything. They are changing the way we farm. These experts are coming in to tell the farmers exactly what to farm, how to farm it, what to use on their land, what not to use on their land, how it needs to be harvested, how the land needs to be used, and there will be harsh penalties. You're going to see the end of the average farm, the farmer and the people that are just growing food themselves. You're not going to be allowed to do that. They are now regulating water. They started doing this with Barack Obama, where the EPA came in and said, we own all the water, including some mud puddles on your property. If you control the water and you control the food, it's not a good thing. And when you read the arrogance, you read in their own words, go to World Economic Forum and read about what they want to do to the food system. They are talking about a global redesign of the entire food system by 2030.
Yep, that's exactly right. And they're also talking about a massive takeover of land and water. You were just alluding to the waters of the USA rule that Barack Obama tried rolling out, and the Trump administration ended up rolling that back. But there are Joe Biden has already announced that he wants to have he has a 30 by 30 plan where he wants 30%. He wants government to own 30% of the land and water in the United States by 2030. 30%.
And that's just the beginning, because it's a 2050 plan as well. That's they want to own 50%. I want to read this is page 234 from the Great Reset. What exactly do these great resetters have in mind when they talk about enhancing ecosystems? This means, and I'm quoting from them, this means governments, cities, and businesses need to know what to measure. Science-based targets for nature positive trajectory are still under intense discussion. But as of today, the proposed quantitative targets are as follow: 0 loss of nature from 2020 forwards, nature positive by 2030, and a full recover of nature by 2050. An important step for this aim is to protect 30% of the land, the ocean, and all water by 2030. What does that mean in real terms?
Right. What it means is a unprecedented takeover of land and water across the world. That's what it means. When they say that they want a nature-positive world, what that means in practice is that they are going to have to figure out a way to get people to stop owning property, to move into cities, and to get rid of their farms, to get rid of the massive amounts of land that just regular people have, and to move into centralized locations so that nature can come back from all of the degradation that humans have caused to it. That's how they look at it. And there have been people, I've read some reports where they've talked about wholesale moving people out of communities all into cities, into a very small number of cities, relatively speaking, so that we can let nature just consume all of these communities around the world, because that's the most natural thing that we could possibly do. This all sounds crazy, but you won't believe how fast this can happen because of economic collapse and banking, and we'll get into that here in just a second. First, let me tell you about our sponsor this half hour. By the way, you can get the book right now at glensnewbook.com. glensnewbook.com. It's called The Great Reset. Get it before we run out of the first printing.